Darkus Corelli's Phantasm is going to turn 44 years old next year. Can you imagine? What I didn't realize when I first saw this movie some years back is that it was made pretty much by a bunch of kids. If you look at the age of the cast and the director's age when they were making Phantasm, the tall man Angus Scream was like the one adult person on set, and most people were really just young and up and coming hopefuls with not so much industry experience. So it's a real miracle how well this movie has turned out. It's kind of tough for me to be objective about Phantasm because that movie encapsulates so many things I love about independently produced horror films. It's got this dreamy quality, and it's a free flowing kind of story which has that there is the tension between family and death. So this kid Mike, played by Michael Baldwin, who does a really good job. This kid is coming to terms with his own mortality and with how fragile his family is because the parents are gone, dead, and then his elder brother Jody, played by Bill Thornbury, is about to abandon him and move on away from this sleepy provincial Californian town. So, and then there is that evil figure, the tall man who enters and stands for everything Mike fears, basically losing his loved ones and pretty much killing his childhood and killing his the world he knows and loves. The great thing about Phantasm is this: it's like a myth. So you have this little community there, and they're kind of happy. You know, they have their small town happiness, and then there is that intruder, the tall man, and he's gonna rob them of all that. So they try and fight him, and this kid is at the forefront because he's the one who believes in this danger represented by the tall man, and he's trying to get his brother and Reggie to convince them, look, this tall man is a menace. And by the time he gets them also involved, it's already a bit late. So there are a few victims, and it's a really it's just such a good story. I think it's told in a very loose way. There is very little dialogue, but it's really atmospheric, and I think it's very hard not to pick up what this movie is communicating, which is why it's sold so well everywhere in the world, because it speaks to your deepest I think anxieties. So by incorporating this theme of coming of age and family and facing your fear, it's just made it such a success, I think. Phantasm, the original Phantasm, in terms of the sound, I mean, this Blu-ray I've got here is the remastered 2017 remastered presentation. So what I've noticed by watching this is some of the sound effects which I never used to notice back on DVD or in the previous incarnations. I don't know if they're added now for this edition, or they just cleaned up the sounds, or I'm just paying better attention. It's like in some of the scary scenes, or where it's a build up to a scary scene, there are some interesting background noises and kind of electronic feedback sounds where I'm thinking, I never noticed that before. And the picture's cleaned up pretty well. So in this film, in Phantasm, there is the germ of all the trilogy that was to follow, or quadrilogy if you will. So everything that's good and not so good about the Phantasm franchise is already present here in this original movie. It's a little bit immature, and that's the interesting thing about the sequels, is that they with passing of years, the franchise didn't really seem to grow up. I mean, the characters aged, and the things moved on in time from the 80s through the 90s to the 2000s, but the underlying cheesy kind of lightheartedness pretty much remained. Even though there would be more gore, there would be more kind of nudity, But Phantasm still remained a kind of a fairy tale, and the boys remained a bit silly, which is, I think it's true about all Coscarello films I've seen, including John Dies in the End. He just seems to stand for that kind of light-hearted approach to life, and yeah, I think it's a great dynamic in Phantasm between the kind of the happy place, which childhood and sort of the young years represent, and then the responsibility and the inevitability which comes with growing up and facing your decline or losing your loved ones. So it's a great movie to watch at Halloween because it's not too gory, but it's got one or two really iconic moments, and the villain, the Tallman, is justly celebrated. I gotta say, it's really one of the movies I watch at least once a year, and I never get tired of it. I just like how they handle some of the more elaborate scenes, even though their camera is pretty static in Phantasm, but they still were quite clever with where they placed the lights and what they emphasize in their scenes. So they really worked around their tiny little budget in such a way that the movie still holds up quite well today. And a lot of cult, you see, a lot of cult horror movies were actually made due to budget restrictions. Were made in 16mm movies, like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or City of the Living Dead, Gates of Hell, or George Romero's Martin, Joe D'Amato's Anthropophagus. All those movies were actually originally shot on 16mm, whereas Phantasm here is also a relatively small scale movie, but they decided and went with 35mm. So in this restoration today, the film actually looks pretty amazing. They've also seemed to have preserved the negative in quite a good shape. So for such a small scale movie, it really looks good. The resolution is good, colors are excellent, and it's just a time capsule of flary trousers and puffy hair, those kind of jackets they're wearing, those what are they called, leisure suits and things like that. I know when I watch Phantasm, I'm in for a good time, and it's really good that the younger generation can also embrace this now via this restored edition. I think Don Coscarelli is now one of the best living independent filmmakers out there. He's really wonderful, and this movie Phantasm and John Dies in the End are wonderful, and I got a lot of love for the sequels as well. Phantasm runs just under 90 minutes, and most of that running time is actually dialogue free, so we see the characters exploring the mausoleum. That mausoleum set is fantastic. They just use this kind of, everything looks like white marble, and it just looks very stylish and photogenic. And so you have the characters walk down those corridors, or they are sort of creeping around the cemetery at night, and those tombstones are sort of very oddly placed. They're scattered around, not in rows, but they're scattered around kind of artistically. So you see people skulking about a lot and hiding in caskets and riding around in hearses. So there is a lot of room for actors just to be present and emote just without the dialogue. And this is where I think Michael Baldwin, the young Mike Baldwin, is so good. He seems very natural, and he's got this interesting part as this kid who's, he's troubled. He's kind of sweet, and at the same time, he's the action kid. He gets to fire a gun, ride a motorbike, drive a car, gets to fight the monsters. So it's a cool role for a child actor, which they kind of tried and brought back again in Phantasm 3, which was more of a riff on Home Alone movies, I guess. So yeah, great thing about Phantasm 1, it gives a lot of room for the mystery to breathe. Without mystery, I don't think you can make a horror film. You see in the original Phantasm, you see characters look into windows, open doors, and they walk in, and we don't know where they're going. There are those portals. Everything is a mystery. So until 1 hour into the movie, we don't really know what the heck is going on, but we're really interested to find out. So the way the story is put together, it's haphazard, but at the same time, it's like a mosaic which keeps you invested in this. You want to know what's the secret of the tall man, And the following movies would answer some of those questions, and not always in the best way, but there would be like a mythology built on those seeds which are planted with this first movie. And the mystery of the tall man and what he does, where the dwarves come from, is just so cool. The great thing about Phantasm, the original one, it doesn't show you too much. It gives you a glimpse of that universe, and you get that haunting atmosphere and a few deaths and some unforgettable stylish images. But it's not too explicit. So when the movie's over, the mystery lingers and it brings you back to Phantasm, and this is why I appreciate this movie so much. This video was made for you, so if you liked it, hit the like button.